It's your boy Finesse The Producer, and I'm kicking it with Legends on the Rise, and we finna run up a check.
So, Mr. Finesse the Producer, how did you come up with the name Finesse the Producer?
Man, I done went through about 5 different name changes. So first off, my real name Thomas Snyder. So I started off with just Snyder T Beats. That just, generic. I was just doing it for fun. I wanted, put a little tag in there. So like, I knew that was too generic. It wasn't catchy. It wasn't attractive. So then I ended up, I forgot what the next name. I think the next name was Kid Finesse, and that was cool, but it was like a little childish. So then the next name I went through was like T Sway Beats, and these changes were like coming like quick, like months, like 6 months or every year or something like that. So I just kept on changing. So shoot, I think the next one was okay. I had T Sway Beats, and then I had Finesse King, but the way I spell King was KXNG, and I wanted to take that out because when people think of King, they want to spell it the right way. So if somebody search it, I ain't wanting to search it, the right way. I wanted them to search it the way I got it spelled. So I just ended up dropping a King, and then from there just Finesse. And I was like, you know what? Let me just put the producer on it. I ended up putting a tag to it. Me and Finesse trying to run up a check, and the tag really just what set it off and solidified the name that I wanted to go with. So since probably like 2017 or 2018 maybe, I want to say 2018, I've had Finesse the Producer as like my go-to name, like just my last name. My last name I'm gonna go with.
So tell me, where did you grow up?
Man, honestly, I'm like a military child. So like both my parents, they met in the Navy. So I was kind of like here and there. But then from like kindergarten I was in Mississippi. I went to kindergarten there. But then I ended up moving overseas with my parents for about 3 years. You know, they had the war in Iraq or whatnot, so they let all mothers and children go back to the States. So then from like third grade on until like high school graduation, I was in Mississippi. I was in Pickens, Mississippi, which is the country, but like 30 minutes north of Jackson. That's the capital. But then after that, I mean, shoot, I moved to Tuscaloosa. I went to University of Alabama. Went in undecided. I kind of wanted to do like a music major, but they wasn't doing the music that I wanted to do. Like they wasn't doing like the FL studio and all that. They were doing like the opera, violins, and all that good stuff. But cool stuff, but it ain't like the digital music stuff that we out here trying to do.
What was your major at Alabama?
I ended up like going in with the business management, and then I specialized in entrepreneurship because of course I want to be my own boss. So.
Okay. So how long have you been producing, and what motivated you, and how did you get started into production?
Shoot, honestly, I've been producing since like 2012. I was probably like 10th grade then. But it really was just something I just came across. I just been the type of guy that like being in the house playing the games all the time, being on computers, all that type of stuff. So I just fumbled around to it. And I started off on my phone with a little app, and I was just playing around with it. And then I ended up coming across, I can't remember how I came across FL Studio, but I ended up coming across it. You already know I had to get the crack version, all the plugins with it. And from there, I just was playing around with it. And just looking back, it was trash. But I mean, it's always development. But yeah, man, I was just pushing, and then I got to college, and then I met more people, and just being around, the environment of people like that's doing music with you, it kind of like pushed me to go forward. And I met many people like Mac Henson, that's my bro. I work with him all the time. Winnie, I met her. She stay in Auburn, Opelika. But I ended up meeting her online, and we done all linked up. Those my two go-tos. But then I ended up like, it was just like a domino effect. Just kept meeting people, and it just kept growing. But my inspiration, like before I got to college, was Speaker Knockers, cause he produced and rapped, and it was just his music was catchy. It was good. I feel like he never missed with his music, and I was just on his songs all the time. And even though he passed away, I'm still like that's still my my influence. And he's you can see that. You could just go on YouTube and type Speaker Knockers type beats, and they're still being made because he was just that type of that artist that everybody wanted.
Let's talk about some of those industry placements that I heard that you had.
Okay. Well, we got I'm gonna go with my first one. Go Yayo. I've been a fan of Go Yayo for a long time, and of course I follow him, and then I follow other producers. But I got a placement with him last year around this same exact time, like November 2019, and I just ended up just being on Instagram. One of his producers, like he was just putting on his story like doing 4 collabs for $100 or something like that, and I was like, man, that ain't bad. So I cooked up 4 melodies, sent them to him. I sent the money off, and then like days later, Buddy hit me back in the DM. He was like, "Hey man, we got a placement with Go Yayo." I was like, "Nah." So then he ended up sending like a little story snippet or whatnot, and I heard my tag, and I heard his tag, and then I heard Go Yayo kind of flowing a little bit before it got cut off. So I'm excited or whatnot. I'm just like, man, I hope he drop it. But then come to find out, the very next week he dropped it on an EP called Raw. The song called Oh Wow, and I want to say it's the first song on there, but yeah, it go crazy. Like I was kind of excited, and then he did a Triller to the song as well. So I'm like, man, he pushing this song like that's crazy. But it ended up doing pretty good. I mean, I think at the end of that year, end of 2019, they had like suppressed like 70,000 views on YouTube. I don't know what it did on Apple Music and Spotify or whatnot, but it did pretty good, and it was a turn song. I mean, regardless, it was like exposure. And to this day, I mean, I got it in my bio, so people still be like, "Hey man, you produce for Go Yayo," like stuff like that, So, but that was like probably like my biggest placement. So like, I'm proud of that one. Now my other big placement, I'd say next to that is the TSL Fetty. I've all like since I guess him and Cinco had started like buzzing in the city or whatnot, like probably like a couple years ago. Like I've always like followed them, saw their growth, what they do, how they do it, and the type of beats and stuff they be rapping on. So with Fetty, I had always DM'd him here and there or whatnot. So one time, he shot me his email, and I had sent him a few beats here and there. And what was crazy was I never knew I had a placement with him, but I forgot what the EP called. But I know the song called Aladdin. He came out with it like last December or whatnot. And it took me having a studio session, because I engineer music too. It took me having a studio session with an artist to find out that I had a placement with this man. Because he was just like, "Why you didn't tell me you produced for Fetty?" I'm like, "No, I didn't." And then he pulled up the song. I heard my tag. I heard Fetty rapping. I'm like, "Golly, that's crazy." Like, so I was excited. I sent him another pack after that. I don't know what happened with that, but shoot, I had to go ahead and send another one. So
Yeah. So what do you have coming up in the future? What kind of projects do you have? I heard you say you engineer as well. So tell me what you're working on now. What's in the future?
well, to be honest, I'm kind of all over the place. Of course, I'm gonna keep pushing out these beats and trying to get these placements. Trying to push the YouTube. All you gotta do is just search Finesse The Producer on there, and you'll just see all my views, all my videos, all that. But as far as engineering, I'm in Tuscaloosa right now, so I'm trying to build. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tackle the engineering first, and I've had a lot of practice and experiences with engineering to the point where I feel confident to have that offer that as a service for local rappers in Tuscaloosa. So with that, I'll just push that, let these folks know I make beats. So engineer for them, provide the beats for them, and then from there, shoot, I'm also an artist too. So I've been branching off into the artist part of the music, and I'm gonna be working on a tape for myself. I already came out with one tape this past April. Tried to do a party, but COVID kind of like shut that down. But I dropped it on April 5th, which is my birthday, and it's called Finesse Season. It's on all platforms. Pretty good. A lot of production by me, The Only Winnie, Matt Henson, and then some features from some of the Tuscaloosa artists that I, got close with. But from there, man, I'm just gonna try to follow the same thing, probably get some bigger features, and I'm still gonna try to keep the production kind of closed in rather than getting, going for the YouTube producers and stuff like that. So I'm gonna try to push that more.
All right, so tell us, how can you be reached on your social media if people want to reach you? I know you say you engineer, so how can they reach you if they want to book a session or they want to get in contact with you? How can you be reached?
Shoot, I'm really on everything. My go-to is Instagram. Just type in Finesse the Producer. Uh, you'll get a quick response there. You can even go on Facebook, type in Finesse the Producer. Twitter, they won't allow me to put Finesse the Producer in there because it's too many characters. So it's Finesse Made It. YouTube, Finesse the Producer. And then if you wanted to cop some beats or just anything, just go to my website, finessetheproducer.com. And shoot, everything is just gonna be right there. It ain't hard to contact me. I'm gonna reach out to everybody. I'm gonna make sure we lock in and get that work in for real.
All right, thanks for stopping by today, Finesse.
Oh yeah, appreciate it.